giant gestures in life, the warmth of a stranger's smile, the simple comfort of a cup of hot coffee during a rainy commute. Each small act fortified his sense of purpose, even as gray clouds of uncertainty loomed over his own aspirations. And yet, with the overwhelming pressure of deadlines and office politics, he often found it easier to be the observer, rather than the participant. As the noon hour approached, he glanced longingly at the children weaving through the green expanse, their laughter echoing melodiously in a cadence that almost drowned out the chatter of busy adults. Samuel closed his laptop with a sigh, deciding he could afford a brief escape from the confines of his unyielding routine. He stood, stretching to alleviate the tension pooling in his shoulders, and set off toward the park's heart, hoping the outdoors would row him back towards self-discovery, even momentarily. What he found at the park was not the vibrant joy he expected. Instead, he paused mid-step, drawn into a quiet corner where a frail figure sat hunched on a weathered bench, the lines etched on her face telling tales of time well lived, yet currently marred by sorrow. An elderly woman sat with trembling hands, teardrops staining the crinkled photograph she clutched against her chest. For a moment, Samuel hesitated, caught in a web of uncertainty about whether to approach this woman consumed by her pain. But instinct kicked in, stirring his underlying values. Kindness necessitated action. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said softly, his voice barely rising above a whisper. "Is everything all right?" Startled, her gaze lifted, revealing deep pools of gray brimming with unexpected vulnerability. I'm all right," she stammered, though Samuel could see beyond her fib. The tremor of her voice and the intensity of her longing told a different story. "My name is Samuel," he offered, settling onto the bench beside her. "I can see that the weight of something heavy is resting on your heart." At that, she exhaled softly, crumbling. The tears flowed freely now, cascading down her weathered cheeks. "It's my husband. He passed away last month. We would always sit here together," she revealed, her voice cracking like the dried leaves beneath their feet. "This was our spot. We'd watch the world paint itself in colors, side by side." Samuel felt a sudden ache worm its way into his heart, intertwining his struggles with hers. Though he had never lost someone he loved in that way, he understood, in a profound sense, the void that empty spaces could forge. "I can't imagine how hard that must be," he said carefully, mirroring her sorrow with empathy. "Would you like to tell me about him?" Her eyes brightened for just a moment, caught in a wistful memory. "His name was Albert, a master gardener. He loved sunflowers and the way they turned to follow the sun. He always said that life was about learning how to bloom where you are planted." Samuel listened intently as she recounted graceful anecdotes about her husband, how he'd dance in the kitchen as they shared breakfast, how he had a way of drawing people together through his infectious laughter. Each account painted a vivid picture against the grayness of loss that settled between them. "I wish I could keep him alive in my memory," she murmured after a spell, pressing the photograph between her palms like a talisman. "But some days it feels impossible." In that moment, Samuel felt a calling within himself, a compulsion to bridge the gap between grief and solace. "What if I could help you with that?" he suggested, his mind racing. "How about I help you plant a sunflower garden right here in the park? We can create something beautiful that honors his memory." The elderly woman blinked, surprise flickering across her features. It transformed into something softer, a smile flashing like sunlight breaking through clouds. "You'd do that for me?" "Absolutely," he said, feeling a spark of hope igniting within him. "We can gather the seeds and I'll be honored to come back and plant them with you. Together we can create a tiny piece of beauty that will bloom for years to come." Her smile brightened, and with it came a sense of rebirth. "I'd like that," she said, clutching the photograph tighter, though something about her expression shifted. The weight of sorrow seemed lighter, as if Samuel's simple gesture had nudged her toward a new path. As the sun peeked through the branches above, Samuel felt the shift within himself as well. Conversations were opening doorways he'd only thought existed in books. Emotions, once bound by solitude, began to swell with connection and hope. In what had begun as a simple act of kindness, Samuel was discovering a world of stories waiting to be shared, his own included. Little did he know, this initial spark would be only the beginning of a friendship that would transform both their lives in ways they had never imagined. Weeks passed since Samuel approached the elderly woman on the park bench, each day weaving him deeper into the fabric of Maplewood and its inhabitants. Upon their first meeting, he learned her name was Marjorie, a name that echoed warmth and kindness, much like the gentle smile she wore. The promise of planting sunflowers became a shared commitment, sparking a friendship that began to bloom. Marjorie was enthusiastic, her spirits bolstered by Samuel's willingness to honor her late husband's memory. They spent hours discussing the details of the sunflower garden. Samuel found himself looking forward to each meeting, his mundane office world fading with each shared story. Under the sun-drenched sky, he'd learned how to plant, along with Marjorie's past her love for gardening that intertwined with Albert's passion, her quiet joys and longings, and her journey through grief. Together, they gathered seeds from the local nursery, their laughter filling the space like music. On the day they sowed the seeds in the designated corner of the park, Samuel marveled at how the simple act of planting had transformed the vibrant space around them. As they worked side by side, he witnessed Marjorie's face light up when she spoke about the kind of butterflies that would eventually flutter toward the flowers. In that moment, he felt the pull of connection. The garden became a threshold for healing, not only for Marjorie but for him as well, drawing him out of his introspection and worry. Their burgeoning friendship rippled outward. The park began to change. Other parkgoers began investigating the two-figure hunched over the soil, curious about the duo's labor of love. It wasn't long before a couple of children, drawn by the vibrant yellows emerging sporadically from the earth, came bounding over. "What are you doing?" a girl with wild curls asked, her eyes wide with excitement as she pointed at the seeds. "We're planting sunflowers," Marjorie replied, a sparkle igniting in her gaze as she motioned for them to join. "Would you like to help us?" Before Samuel knew it, they had an impromptu gathering on their hands, with a steady stream of curious children and parents joining to help dig holes in the dirt, each child decorating a wooden marker with the name of a person they wanted to remember, someone whose spirit was still alive in their hearts. Little ones passionately shared stories of their beloved grandparents or fur friends who had left paw prints on their lives. Samuel found himself unexpectedly moved by these innocent, vibrant tales, each a thread weaving through his own narrative of loss, love, and longing. As laughter filled the air and dirt speckled little hands, Samuel absorbed palpable joy swelling between Marjorie and the children. The park, initially clouded by grief, now burst with shared hope and connection. Each sown sunflower seemed to blossom with a story, intertwining their spirits across generations. The warmth of the community enveloped Samuel like an embrace, nudging him further down the path of rediscovery. With each week, Samuel and Marjorie met to water and nurture their little garden. They initiated a creative project to create markers for their sunflowers, a method to blend his analytical skills with her love for art. They crafted whimsical tags painted with bright colors and meaningful phrases, imparting wisdom from Albert's favorite sayings. Samuel unrolled a canvas of possibilities, drawing in others, sparking inspiration in their little patch of vibrant humanity. Samuel saw himself change as well. The darkness that had clouded his heart began to lift, replaced with a renewed sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. He ventured on walks after work, accepting invitations from colleagues to gatherings, letting himself mingle and breathe the same air others shared, discovering that connection was as revitalizing as any vacation he had once planned. One afternoon, as he walked toward the park, a faint voice pierced his thoughts. "Hey, Sam," a familiar face waved from across the street. It was Mia, a colleague he often sat near but had grown detached from during his busy months of overwork and self-doubt. "Hey, what brings you here?" she asked as she approached him. "Just going to check on a little project," he replied, gesturing toward the park. "I heard something about sunflowers. I'd love to get involved. I could bring some art supplies. Maybe we can spruce up the markers." Her eyes danced with excitement, igniting a shared enthusiasm. That idea became a spontaneous local event as Mia shared it within their office. Soon enough, Samuel found himself in the park with a gathering of colleagues, friends, children, and neighbors, an array of people united by simple kindness. The garden became a jubilant anchor point. Laughter, stories, and art poured from all corners, and in turn, they infused life into a once quiet patch of land. As the sun dipped low, it illuminated the vibrant section of the park, shimmering like a treasure amid the greenery. Samuel stepped back to take it all in, a kaleidoscope of joy, connection, and community blooming around him. He could almost hear the whispers of the sunflowers whispering to one another, their golden heads swaying gently. One evening, while watering the emerging flowers, he overheard snippets of conversations surrounding him. Parents reminiscing about their loved ones, children laughing as they shared tales. Each interaction became a thread, stitching hearts together. With each cheerful moment, he felt the shared beauty, witnessing how kindness threaded through layers of heartache. "Mia told me about your story," Marjorie said one afternoon, leaning against their small garden plot as they trimmed some wayward leaves. Samuel raised an eyebrow, knowing it had become a minor sensation at work. "I admire how you dove in headfirst to help not just me, but everyone else too. You're the very embodiment of California sunshine." A blush warmed his cheeks, but he shrugged it off. "I guess I realized I was holding on to too much. It feels nice to let it go, to share and be part of something larger than myself." "No," she insisted gently, her voice firm. "You created something beautiful. You've reignited joy in all of us. Sunshine doesn't just warm the earth, it grows everything it touches. You've grown so much, Samuel." Her words resonated deep within him. And at that moment, he understood kindness was a cycle, each good deed seeding another. But even as growth flourished before them, uncertainty lingered. With summer waning, many families began to trickle away toward other endeavors. Marjorie talked wistfully about her family in a neighboring state, her daughter urging her to come visit. Samuel sensed a heaviness in the air, knowing the season of sunflowers would eventually end. "What happens when everyone leaves?" he asked gently. "What about our garden?" Marjorie looked up, meeting his gaze with a steely resolve despite the sorrow etched in her eyes. "Just because something changes doesn't mean it's the end. Growth leads to transformation. I may be leaving for a while, but my heart remains in this garden with you. And there are always new seeds to sow." Entity of vulnerability entwined again. Samuel acknowledged the fear threatening to tether him to the ground. "You're right," he admitted. "It's a strange but necessary rhythm of life. He paused, swallowing back the gravity of his feelings. "I want to be part of something that lasts." "Then cultivate it," Marjorie urged, her tone unwavering. "Invite others. Share your story and provide space for others to join us. Kindness might lead you to bloom in unexpected ways. Just as you've cultivated sunlight here, share it elsewhere." Renewed determination surged within him, Marjorie's words wrapped around his heart like roots anchoring a tree. The park began to resonate with Samuel's dreams, the sunflowers not merely a fleeting blossom, but a chance to build lasting connections in their community. With each passing day, he banded together the remaining art supplies, sketches, and markers inspired by countless stories, shared all of it, so that every person who touched the sunflower patch would leave a part of themselves behind. He sent messages to friends, organized little art sessions, and even shared anecdotes of loss as reminders that they were not alone in their grief. One crisp Saturday morning he arrived early, gathering materials as he set the stage for migrating hearts. The sun breached the horizon, bathing everything it touched in a warm embrace. By the time families arrived, giggles and chatter painted the air, mingling with the sweet scent of flowers. That day, the park transformed even further into a sanctuary, a beacon of shared experiences and connection. As the sunflowers danced in the light dance, shades of yellows and greens mixed with laughter, Samuel, with a distinct sense of fulfillment in his heart, embraced the garden as a beacon connecting everyone near and far. In doing so, he had grown to understand that life itself was an intricate tapestry, woven from threads of kindness, woven from joy and love. He began to see how those ripples stretched beyond himself and Marjorie, creating a legacy that could blossom through every sun-drenched afternoon spent in the park. Together, their garden became a testament to the enduring strength of friendship, the power of shared grief, and the healing wrought by the simple act of kindness, rooted in connection, nourishing a world filled with blooming possibility. With the sun dipping low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over the sunflower patch, Samuel watched as groups of families wove through the park, laughter and warmth emanating from their gatherings. What had begun as a personal commitment to honor Marjorie's memories of Albert had transformed into a radiant community, interlacing stories from every conceivable nook of Maplewood. Each Saturday morning, families would flock to the garden with eager children, their hands clutching paintbrushes and markers, ready to add their own tales of love and loss to the colorful canvas of sunflower markers. Samuel often found himself surrounded by laughter and chatter, each interaction a gentle reminder of how far kindness could reach when nurtured collectively. That day was particularly special. They had gathered for the now beloved Sunflower Fest, an event deemed necessary by the families that had united under the whimsy of this blossoming garden. Music filled the air, the joyful notes mingling with the sweet fragrance of petals stretching skyward. Children danced as parents shared their experiences, mingling cheerful stories with laughter that echoed through the greenery. Samuel glanced over at the colorful food stalls operated by local vendors, each delicacy tempting those passing by. He was thrilled that his insistence upon reaching out had morphed into this beautiful celebration that filled the air with connection. People were coming together, not merely over sunflower plants, but forming friendships that thrived on understanding. He turned to Marjorie, who had returned a week prior from her trip, glowing with stories of her family. The garden continued to become a refuge for sentimental tales and vivid memories. "Isn't it incredible?" she remarked, a smile spreading across her face as she scanned the humming activity around them. "All these people, enjoying the garden and each other's stories. It makes my heart swell." Samuel nodded, overwhelmed by a sense of gratitude. "I never imagined this would blossom into something so magnificent. It's truly beautiful to see everyone sharing their lives so openly." Marjorie placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes sparkling. "You created this, Samuel. Your willingness to be vulnerable and connect is what took root here. It's the kindness you exhibited that became contagious." "Maybe," he replied, a modest smile gracing his lips. "But it was only the first step. The real magic happened when everyone else joined in, each of them sharing their own stories and wisdom." As the festivities surged around them, Samuel stepped to the center of the sunflower patch, the vibrant flowers seeming to lean closer, as if conspiring to share their secrets. He cupped his hands to gather the attention of the crowd, and a hush fell over them, curiosity blooming in their eyes. "Thank you all for being here today," he began, his voice a gentle wave against the backdrop of rustling leaves. "What started as a simple act of kindness between two strangers weaving the threads of grief has grown into something truly extraordinary through the warmth and participation of each one of you. Each sunflower marker here tells a story, a living testament to loss, to love, and to the human connection we so desperately crave." He seemed to lose himself, the emotions rising vividly through his words. "Together, we've built a sanctuary of shared experiences. This garden is alive with every beautiful memory you've imparted here. I wanted this garden, these sunflowers, to remind us that it's okay to embrace vulnerability, it's okay to share our stories. No matter how heart-wrenching or joyous they may be, you've shown me that we are never truly alone. We are woven together on this intricate tapestry of life." Applause erupted. Illuminated by the warm glow of the afternoon sun, Samuel felt warmth radiating within him as he continued. "In our stories we find strength. In kindness we find healing. Let's keep tending to this garden, not just with flowers but with our hearts. Let's commit to allowing kindness, love, and understanding to grow wherever we go and with whomever we meet." The crowd surged with cheers and laughter, relieved the day was so liberating. Samuel stepped down from his makeshift podium, his spirits soaring. He felt an overwhelming sense of kinship, a beautiful tapestry being woven, all originating from that initial act of kindness that ignited the flame of connection. As the sun dipped lower, presiding over the horizon like a regal king, Samuel caught sight of one of the children, a small girl named Emily, who often assisted him in painting seeds with her family. Today she was carefully placing her own colorful marker at the edge of the sunflower patch. "This one's for my Grandma Sophie," she shouted with pride, gesturing with unabashed enthusiasm. Samuel ambled over, kneeling beside her. What was Grandma Sophie like, he asked, eyes glistening with curiosity and warmth. Emily's eyes sparkled with memories. She made the best chocolate chip cookies, always with extra chocolate. And she said sunflowers are just happy flowers. They always look to the sun, just like I do. That profound thought settled over Samuel somehow. The little girl had construed the essence of kindness so beautifully. The abundant compassion she learned encircled their community like sunshine toward the coveted flowers. "Your Grandma Sophie was a wise woman," he said, pondering on those words, cherishing how Emily had inherited such sentiment. "Thank you for sharing that with me." Later that evening, as twilight fell and the sunflowers faced the horizon heralding their closing day, Samuel wandered towards Marjorie, who was happily conversing with one of the vendors. He couldn't contain his elation, and he grasped her fingers gently, drawing her attention. "Look how everyone is coming together," he exclaimed. "These moments are so precious. I never believed I could have this kind of impact, this giving back to my community. It feels meaningful, fulfilling." Marjorie, eyes shimmering with a proud light reflected theirs, whispered, "You've transformed not only this space but your own heart, dear Samuel. Life's essence is rooted in kindness, and you nurtured it well. It is true what they say, love and kindness can change the world." As the last light of day illuminated the sunflower garden, Samuel felt something shift within. He was no longer just a man caught in the mundanity of his existence. He felt tethered to every tale shared, every heart mended, every smile exchanged. Acts of kindness reverberated, cultivating seeds of love that blossomed within an entire community. In the following weeks, conversations flowed effortlessly among park-goers. Kin-across families came to enjoy the garden each day after Samuel announced various events: storytime, art workshops, and memory walls. They welcomed neighbors with lunches in the park, exchanged laughter over games, and contemplated life through quiet moments shared beside each other. A rhythms of warmth and understanding took root within Maplewood, strengthening ties and revitalizing connection through each gathering. The nurturing ground Samuel had envisioned had fostered a sanctuary interwoven lives, embracing their joys and hardships in a beautiful mosaic of humanity. Their sunflower patch evolved into a vibrant symbol of resilience, each day brighter than before. As summer ended, turning into the stunning shades of fall, Samuel saw the journey he'd